to the second half of KISS Community Connections, 103.1 KISS FM. Phyllis Jones is still your host, and Eric is going to answer that lovely question about, the days when we would, and it wasn't too long ago, but your churches were open and your kids could go there, get free breakfast on the way to school, come home, get a snack from church, do their homework, get some tutoring done, and play. And it was a safe place for you to be until your parents got home. So, Eric, what happened with our churches?
Well, I think the first thing to acknowledge is that there were churches like that existed, and there was a very specific church that has a long history in the Killeen area, and that's Marlboro Heights. And the doors were open there. I remember the doors being open in the summers and when I was younger, and you could just walk in there and there would be other youths in there who you knew, who you went to church with, maybe doing a sign language class or sitting there talking or whatever. And that was a place to be, but we were led by a remarkable, when I say remarkable, a phenomenal pastor. And that was Reverend Abercrombie. And we had plays in the back of the church to put on a play, like in the back parking lot where the church was. There were organizations that kept everyone involved in the church and the community. But there was this sort of inextricable link between the church and the community, because many of the people who were the original settlers of that community, or who moved into that community, were founders at that church. Everyone knew everyone. So even by the time that you got to school, you knew everyone there. They knew who you were and they knew your family. So the doors were literally open. I mean, you could literally walk in the front door, the side door, wherever, and you could learn something at the church. Now, what happened is your question.
Right.
What happened? Most things all things change, and many things that change because there is sort of a disconnect between the ideas that flow from one generation and the experiences that come from one generation to the next. So when you have people who pass away, and you have a changing of the guard, sometimes that continuum of information, that continuum of knowledge, that continuum of experiences, that continuum of connectedness is disrupted, it's fractured, and it's broken. And then new ways of doing things happen. New people move in. And I know some people are listening to this and they're thinking that he's saying a lot about something specifically, and I'm just saying what the truth is.
Right, you're right.
And this is what happened, and if this isn't what happened, then prove me wrong, but this is how it goes. And you can't replace some figures. Right. We just lost a figure recently, Mrs. Dowse.
Miss Dowse, yes.
I cannot think of a time that I did not hear Mrs. Dowse's name. I mean, these people are pillars, and I say are because in the minds of those of us who are still here, we still live in that world. We're between now and the world we grew up in. And so these people remain to be a part of the structure that holds up the sort of way that we think about our community and where it is that we come from. There are so many people in our community. I mean, there was Mrs. Dowse. I heard about Doc Jackson. I never met Doc Jackson because I'm not old enough to have met him, but I heard about Doc Jackson. We heard these stories. The O'Neills, the O'Neill family, and all of the many people who made up that community. I can see all of them in my head. I was just talking with someone the other day about the sort of communal activities that would take place. Like, I remember people who would go fishing and bring fish and give fish to, like your grandparents or the people around the corner or something like that. And they'd sit out and they clean them and share them, So when we talk about people not having food to eat and stuff, or when someone was cooking, you could smell what they were cooking. Another person down the street's cooking, they'd share food and stuff. And so the church, clothing, there was a clothing
Yes.
closet that they had at the church where people could go there. You could get slacks, sweaters, shirts, shoes, and it wasn't a sort of commercialized affair. It was this big thing like, we're better than you, our church. It was genuine community sharing. And we had everyone there. We had people from downtown. We had people who were from the community. We all knew each other. We went to school, and it built stronger bonds with us. I can still see the deacons chasing certain people, like in between Sunday school and church. You would go to the Exxon, and they would come down there, they're black and white on, and they'd be chasing certain people. I ain't gonna call them names, but who, just their grandparents told you're not supposed to be out there, and they come down there and grabbing people by the ear and walking them back up. All of that is a sort of, it's an art form. It's a thing that happened, and it's like, if you want to do, we're talking about things to do with your kids, you want to do art with them, stuff like that, you could have them depict stories about where they're growing up or where you grew up. This is all important, but how it changed. So we talked about that fracture, that disconnect. When you have new ideas coming in, you have new people from different places, and this is the nature of life. I mean, ideas move, and we're in a transient community anyway, where people are always coming in and out. But that particular church, it was there for so long. Well, it's still there. The physical structure is still there. You had Mr. Hornsby. I can't forget Mr. Hornsby, who also just recently passed away. I used to cut Mr. Hornsby's grass when I was younger. You had all of these people. They created opportunities for us to have money as children. We'd walk by and you say, "Hey, youngin, you want to make $1 or something like that?" You cut their grass, whatever. And back then it was King Saver. That was the grocery store. So you'd be walking to the store and you'd see them. You might pick up 2 yards to cut or something like that. And these were people who lived directly in front of the church. And these were people who went to that church, and they'd see you and they'd check on you, and they followed everything you did. I was impressed.
So where did disconnect come from to now? When you go
the
to
disconnect happened
church
because
closed at 4:00.
People, like I said,
Yes.
people pass away.
Yes.
New people come in. New people have different ideas, and those ideas are not necessarily the ideas that are from your community or that were in your community. But it's not to be negative and to critique those people in the economy. It's just, it is what it is. That's what happened. But I will say this, and this is something I've been wanting to say, is that where do we go from there, right? So where we go from there is that many of the new people in these churches and other religious institutions, not just churches, have very high level academic training. Some of them have been to seminary or theology school, and they've taken classes and done precepts. Y'all know what precepts are, church people. Those of you who are learned, so you ask your pastor or assistant pastor to tell you about, if they've gone off to school and they've had to do their precepts. Ask them to teach you a little bit of that Greek, a little bit of that Latin, right? And if you're at a mosque and you're here, because not everyone is Christian, right? So you have different faiths. Ask someone to share with you some Arabic. If you are Buddhist or Hindu, we have different faith communities around here. Ask the people within your faith community to instruct you not only in the ways of life, but also in the language, because you have to remember that these ways of life come out of, that is, those from those languages. So if you're only learning about that faith in English, then you may not be having a full faith experience. And someone may be giving you their interpretation of something that you can read, translate, internalize, and interpret for yourself if they give you all of the tools. So, and this goes back to what? The children in the schools.
Right.
Because I'm sure if you're doing language enrichment with your children over the summer, during Thanksgiving, if you celebrate that, during Christmas, if you celebrate that, or whatever your holiday is, or whichever your holiday is, spring break, right? if you're doing language enrichment with your children, that is not necessarily making them fluent in the language, but introducing them to ideas and giving them ways of thinking about the world. Like giving a word is a door. Think of a word as a door, and words as concepts and ideas that can open new doors and build new structures that your child can move inside of to think. Enable that child by giving them that access to Greek, Arabic, Latin, whatever other languages we have here. We have so many languages. Cultural literacy. You know, when you go into convenience store here, how you hand money to people who, elderly people, or people who are your senior who may be Korean, you know, that's cultural literacy. Where we have people here also, we have a growing, an increasing community of people from Western Africa, Western and Central Africa. I've met people from Nigeria, Togo, Sierra Leone, and you can have, when people are willing to share, you can have Saturday schools of language and just introduce them to these languages. This helps all these kids, and it will prepare them by the time they go to college to say, hey, I have basic level proficiency in this language. I can either read it, I can write it, I can speak it, or I'm a receptive learner where I can think in it and respond to you in English. So again, that goes back to the point about what type of learner are you? So there are all these different levels at which a child and or parent or guardian can become proficient. And this helps your child determine maybe which field he or she would like to go into. Maybe they want to become a lawyer. Maybe they want to be business owner, CEO. Maybe they want to go into, you know, work for work in banking. Maybe they want to be work at radio stations. We be here at the station, be a station engineer, right? So we can do all of that, all these things, because but these skills come in handy, because if you have someone who comes through your door who sign language is important too. Sign language pays a lot of money, by the way. So spoken languages, gestural languages, all these things, you can communicate with more people. And again, that goes back to the point about what? Making connections and alliances with different people in order to have the best and most enriching experience possible. So we have to move beyond merely talking about the things that are wrong and figure out how to do the things that we control and that improve our lot as learners and human beings, right? Because if we have smart children within this school district, that makes the district smarter, and that improves the scores for the district wide, and districts plural wide, if your friends who live in the district over from you are doing as well as you are. You know, and we also had at one point in time in the school district an academic decathlon that took place, and this wasn't the one that you compete in UIL. It was within the district, so it was like math, science, and they used to host it at Fairway. So things like that, and no one's stopping anyone else from putting these on. We have plenty of people who can do this, but it's like, you got to do it. Right. You know, you have to get out there and do it.
You know, on the last show, and I have to introduce you to them, because we had a United Nations show. I had the president for the Liberia Association, who lives in Killeen. Didn't know that, but he was here at the Nation of Islam here, Robert Muhammad, and the young man who's doing the Squash the Beef hotline. The surprising thing was the things that we shared. But the other part was we all realized that we all can learn from each other. So we're going to all sit down, and I'll invite you to sit down and begin to expand on what, like we said, from Liberia. They explained to people that they use the United States money. They, and people are like, what? Yeah, they use the United States money. Their culture is same to ours. But the warrior part that they know is something that the Nation of Islam need to learn. You know what I mean? So we're all talking about things that we need to learn to bring together as one. And it was interesting that they were more excited about us all coming together. Not more excited than we were, but in a way they were, because we let them know is that even though you're from Liberia and you have your own association here and we all live in Killeen, you can't stay over there by yourself. You can't move any further if you go over there by yourself. We just, if you all need something done and we don't know, we can't help you. We stand the same with us. We say, so together we're stronger and better. But it was really good that everybody came together, because it was like, oh my gosh, new family members. So it was good, and it's going to be better. It's going to get good, because we said we're going to hold a summit here in Killeen and invite not everybody, because everybody's not ready, but invite those that are ready to come together so we can learn from each other and begin to build.
But at what point do we teach?
That's
sort of move beyond, because these are adults,
right?
They pay bills,
yes.
They pay bills, yep. They work or they own businesses. They're
yep.
ready to teach,
yes.
And we're talking about kids and we're talking about
yes.
learning. Have something where the kids can come in
yes.
and they begin teaching.
Yes.
Teach something, because what good is it just having the adults to come together to convene for what happens out of that? The kids will get more out of it if
we teach them.
If you teach them, you take those rooms at the convention center and you have like language rooms, you have math rooms,
right.
you have science rooms, and do it for like 2 days and just rotate the kids in rooms. Make the learning experience grow beyond the walls of what's there, because adults are not going to teach the adults anything new. But the adults are ready to teach.
Yes, ready.
They've had learning experiences. Yes. They're prepared for that. Yeah.
So we said, well, we're going to get together and come together and make a plan. And what we intend to do is to show, first of all, the kids that we can all come together, because you got to show them, because most kids don't see that. So once we'll show them, hey, we're all together. We're here to help you. We're here to support you. We're here to do what you need done, because we say, and we're also here for you to teach us, because the youth can teach us also as well, because from the kids, and I'll introduce you to Up in the Attic, but the youth from Up in the Attic, they don't understand. They've taught me things that I'm like, they have a group, a messenger group. I didn't know you could do that. So they threw me in it, and I kept getting these messages. I'm like, okay, what is this about? And they call me up, would you please answer? I'm like, oh, okay. So now I got that. But I tell them, I said, I didn't know what you were doing. You didn't teach me. And they assumed that I knew. I'm like, no, don't assume that I know. Remember, certain things I just don't. And so we're teaching each other, and it's a lot of fun. But we're all going to come together, and we are going to go back to teaching and to learning, because it's a both thing. I don't think we are all here just to teach. We're here to do both, because no matter how old you are or how young you are, you can teach and learn.
Yeah, you definitely can teach and learn, but I was just stating that in relation to the adults getting together, but you definitely can learn from the youth. Yeah. And I have, I don't know when we're wrapping it, but all that list of things that I put out there.
So you got to come back, right?
Okay.
Because you didn't do middle school and high school.
Okay, I'll come back. Well, I may do middle school and high school now, but I have to put the list out there, because ahead. Monday morning, they're going to school. Yes. And so it's action time, parents and guardians, right? Okay. So
give us the walking papers.
These are the things that you have to do, that you should do in terms of who you need to contact in the district and in your school. So questions that you need to ask. We went over this, and I'm just going to go down the list. Okay. Okay. So you'll say, go to your teachers or go to the district and the teachers for this specifically. May I have a syllabus? Okay. Or syllabi. That's multiple syllabus. Is for each class. Okay. The rules, guidelines, and discipline book. May I have that? Course catalog, so you can see which classes are available and how many credit hours your child gets for each one. Find out at which level does your son or daughter read, write, calculate, and reason. That is very important to know. You need to know your child's reading level, writing level, calculation level, and understanding level. Okay. Is your son or daughter eligible for an ACT or an SAT voucher? Now that's very important. Yes, it is. Because if you are on that lower rung of the socioeconomic ladder, or that other end of the spectrum or whatever, there is money if you are, or there are vouchers set aside for you if your child is on the free lunch program. Yes. So you need to find out about that. This is for the high school students. Okay. And you can take one time you can take the SAT for free and the ACT, and you can also do that in graduate school once you get to do your undergraduate studies for the GRE. Okay. Something else you need to do. Is your son or daughter eligible to enroll in classes earning college credit? Okay. So once we've determined that your child is proficient at reading, writing, calculation, and reasoning, then we want to ask the question about the college classes or college credits. Okay. And if you're coming from the 8th grade into the 9th, there are also subclasses that you can take to get high school credit, like some of the foreign language classes, and they may have expanded that into other classes. So you can get a credit before you get to high school. Should you test your child? I know they've changed the talented and gifted programs within the district or whatever, but testing your child for special programs, if your child shows exceptional learning skills in a certain area, and maybe your child is great at science, maybe your child is great at math. If that's the case, go to the math or science teacher or the counselor and say, what can we do to get the most out of this high school experience or middle school experience for my child, so that they take all of the classes, all the science classes that they can take, all the math classes that they can take, all the language classes, wherever your child's aptitude is, wherever your child's special skill is, nurture that and talk to the people who can help to get your child where he or she needs to be, right? Okay, so where else? Show me hands for I don't know how long we got. Okay, we're good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Find out about the extracurricular academic teams. Those produce scholarships for you. UIL competitions, in public speaking, debate. They give scholarships at colleges for that kind of thing, right? Lincoln Douglas, extemporaneous speaking. So all these things, okay. Then find out about extracurricular athletic teams, okay? We'll come back to that on maybe the next show. I might hit it here, but we need to talk about this because these districts get paid off of your children. Those of you who have very, very talented children who are going to state, who are winning stuff, that money is coming back to the district, and some of your children are not going to college.
Ooh.
So there's money coming back where people are getting new uniforms, new shoes, new shorts, and walking around and all their stuff, and everybody's happy about it. But then you're like, oh, this school was looking at my kid, and then the coaches didn't take care of making sure that your kid was doing what they were supposed to be doing in the classroom. And maybe, and I'll get to this, your kid was on one of the lower, had been tracked on one of the lower general levels, right? So that they didn't have enough credits to be able to accept a Division I scholarship because they were intentionally tracked on the lower level classes and not the honors route, or a class that demanded of them to take extra science, extra math, or what do you call it? An elective.
So what are you doing next week?
I'm back here.
There you go. Okay, good.
So also, what else? Okay, so we want to make sure we have all of this, right?
Yes.
Let's see. What is the 4-year plan for your son or daughter? So in 8th grade, start the 4-year plan. And in 9th grade, start the next 4-year plan. And just keep the 4-year plans until you're an MD, PhD, EDD, or something, okay? So we want to get you from 1st grade through college or professional career or vocational.
That's true.
You can go the vocational route, but if whichever route you choose and whichever route you do, be the best at what it is that you do. You know, be exceptional. Okay. Has your son or daughter taken the maximum required math, science, foreign language, and English language arts classes? And stop letting counselors tell you that pre-algebra or not let you question if they put you in pre-algebra, okay? Because that does not count towards, say, your if your NCAA eligibility, like you're an athlete, because it usually happens to athletes. They put you in pre-algebra, they put you in like newspaper reading or something like that. You cannot use that to get a Division I scholarship. You need to take demanding, rigorous classes, the same classes all your friends are. You need to be in the honors classes. You need to take the upper level classes. Don't go the lower route.
So they don't need the pampering classes.
No pampering classes. Okay. We're done with the pampering classes. But what do we need? We need someone to what? Tutor. We need to identify. And that gets in here too. Okay, so you need to, let's see, has your son or daughter, okay, we did that part. Okay, what are your son or daughter's scores? We went over the standardized test. Okay. Yes. Has a district counselor, unbeknownst to you, switched your son and or daughter to one of the less rigorous minimum paths to graduation? Mm-hmm. And if so, you immediately need to upgrade to a recommended honors or distinguished with honors route. But Before you do that, you need to make sure what did we go over earlier? Your child can read, write, calculate, and reason. Okay, so you have to take care of that part, and you need to identify where the tutors are within your school. And if the school can't tell you, go to where? The administration building. Okay. When and where are the school board meetings held? Administration building, W.S. Young. Okay. How do I get on the agenda to speak at a school board meeting? Go to the secretary's office. It's to the left when you walk in on the side facing W.S. Young. You walk in that door, you go to the left. Where do I submit an open records request? Right there. Right there. That's public information, public records. You submit and document everything. Send letters. If you don't have the money to send letters to document it, send it by email so it has a timestamp on it. Document everything. Where's the physical address for the administration building and office and phone number for the administrative assistant who will place me on the agenda? Get on that telephone that you have and pull up whichever district you're in around here and find out that information. Okay. And then so that we're gonna get back to that. Okay.
But also one other thing that the parents need to find out about the school their kids go to, you need to find out how many the school's history of that school. You need to find out how many kids and what nationality they were that sent to DEAP, because you might be in a school that sends a lot of kids to alternative school.
Well, but that goes back to the other point about learning styles. And a lot of people are sick because either there's a deficiency on the side of the child that's unaddressed or the instructor has a deficiency in recognizing it. That's how we bridge that divide and get beyond that. So if you have all these referrals, then the deficiency that's on the side of the teacher or the instructor who's not recognizing this learning deficiency in your child needs to be addressed. Maybe there needs to be a new teacher.
There you go. Or move your child. But I want to thank you for listening to KISS Community Connections, 103.1 KISS FM. You know, when Eric first sat down, he go, hour, what? Now he sees that hour went. But he will be back next week, too, because we have to finish this, because the one thing we need to do is instill education, because without it, we'll be pushing the buggy at the HEB card. You know, without education, the HEB card would be somebody's best friend, and we don't want our kids pushing that HEB card because they failed to get education. And parents, we don't want them pushing the card because you failed to help them get the education they need. So listen, take notes, write, start the ground Monday morning running. When you drop your kid off, you go to work. And I don't mean go to work, but that's when you start going to work to make sure that your child gets a better education, because don't look at schools to be the advocate. You're your child's advocate. You're the best advocate that your child can have. So always remember that. Yes, I work for the school district too, and I'm going to tell parents, yes, I work for the school district. I work with your kid. I'm going to push your kid to the wall. But still, while I'm pushing your kid to the wall, you need to be helping me do that. You need to help us with that, because there are those of us who do believe in a tough education. But like I said, I want to thank you for listening to KISS Community Connections, 103.1 KISS FM. I want you to always remember, you cannot lead a positive life with a negative mind. We'll talk to you next Sunday. Bye now.